am on the other side of this. Like, we've been divorcing now through this process for a whole year. And, you know, it's caught up with what I had to do.
Right.
So, like, emotionally, I feel like I'm ready to be done with it. I'm ready to heal, ready to
Gotcha.
move on. But, you know, here comes a reality show. So here's the part of my life where it gets interesting. I'm done with the divorce, but I had to deal with it, all the darkness on camera.
Porsha Williams is currently facing a serious financial challenge involving the luxury home she received during her marriage to Simon Guobadia. While many people are just now hearing about the situation, the issue actually began years ago and has gradually reached this point. According to court documents, Simon agreed to give Porsha 36 months of mortgage-free living in the home after they got married. His reasoning was that she did not have a stable source of income at the time. He claimed she was not earning enough to take on such a major financial responsibility, so he allowed her to live in the property while he covered the expenses. The arrangement was designed to give her time to rebuild her finances, establish a steady income.
Divorcing now through this process for a whole year. And, you know, it's caught up with what I had to do.
Right.
So, like, emotionally, I feel like I'm ready to be done with it. I'm ready to heal, ready to move on.
And eventually qualify to take over the home herself. During that period, Simon reportedly paid for everything connected to the property, including the mortgage, utilities, maintenance, and other household expenses. However, the agreement always had an expiration date. Once the 36-month period ended, Porsha was expected to refinance the house in her own name and become fully responsible for the mortgage payments. Now that deadline is quickly approaching, and the situation has become much more complicated than expected. Reports from court filings suggest that Porsha has been unable to secure refinancing for the property. The main issue appears to be her financial qualifications. Refinancing a multi-million-dollar home is not as simple as submitting an application and waiting for approval. Banks require strong credit, reliable income, financial stability, and proof that the borrower can comfortably afford the monthly payments. According to the claims made in court, Porsha does not currently meet those requirements. It has been alleged that her credit score is...
You to record in the house?
Yes. So I did.
But it was your house.
Yes, our house. So, I mean, I know he's explained it 1,000 different ways online. He has documented our entire divorce on the Simon Show online, and then I have the Housewives, I suppose. But yeah, there is paperwork in place that would make it a marital property 50-50 split. Outside of that being enforced, it is a premarital property or whatever.
Not high enough to qualify for the type of loan needed for such an expensive property. As a result, the bank reportedly denied her refinancing request. This is where the situation becomes even more serious. The home in question is far from an average property. It is a luxury mansion valued at approximately $7 million. Properties of that size come with significant monthly expenses, and the numbers being discussed are substantial. Simon testified that maintaining the home costs around $50,000 per month. That figure includes mortgage payments and other...
Just because you're going through a divorce doesn't mean you hate someone. I hate actions, I hate lies, I hate a lot of characteristics, but I love the person, you know, and I would never wish harm on anybody. And at the end of the day, I know that he's her person, he's a slithering snake. He's going to find his way out of it, I'm sure he'll be fine.
Expenses associated with the property. Porsha, however, disputed that amount and claimed the monthly cost is closer to $20,000. Regardless of which figure is accurate, both numbers represent a major financial commitment. Most people would struggle to manage payments of that size, especially without a consistent and reliable source of income. To fully understand how things reached this point, it is important to look back at the beginning of their relationship. Many people remember the controversy surrounding Porsha and Simon's engagement. Their relationship attracted significant public attention because Simon had previously been married to Fallon, who appeared alongside Porsha on The Real Housewives of Atlanta. The news sparked...
About me and my fans do respect, I'm transparent. So even though it didn't turn out the story that I wanted to share, I still was open with what I had.
Widespread discussion and criticism, with many viewers questioning the timeline of events. Despite the public scrutiny, the couple moved forward with their relationship and eventually married. Their wedding celebrations were lavish and extravagant, featuring luxury fashion, elaborate decorations, cultural traditions, and all the elements of a fairy tale romance. At the time, many people believed they were building a lasting future together. However, the marriage quickly began to unravel. Less than 2 years after saying "I do," the couple found themselves heading toward divorce. During the marriage, Simon reportedly placed Porsha's name on the deed to the Duluth mansion. However, he did not place her name on the mortgage itself. While that detail may seem minor, it has become extremely important in the current legal dispute. Ownership and financial responsibility are not always the same thing. Being listed on the deed means a person has ownership rights to the property, but being responsible for the mortgage requires separate financial qualifications and legal obligations. According to Simon's court testimony, he agreed to support Porsha financially because she did not have sufficient income at the time. He claimed that he covered nearly every major expense and expected her to use the 3-year period to improve her financial position. Now that the deadline is near, that plan appears to be falling apart. The challenge is that luxury home refinancing requires more than celebrity status or public recognition. Lenders focus on financial records, income history, debt levels, and credit scores. Even someone with a large social media following or television exposure can face rejection if their financial profile does not meet lending requirements. As a result, Porsha now finds herself in a difficult position. She is reportedly living in a multi-million-dollar property, unable to refinance it, and facing the end of the grace period that originally protected her from taking on the mortgage herself. At the same time, Simon has made it clear that he no longer intends to provide financial assistance. Court documents indicate that he has stopped making payments and does not plan to continue supporting the property moving forward. That decision dramatically increases the pressure on the situation. If the mortgage remains unpaid, the consequences could become severe. Mortgage lenders typically do not overlook missed payments, especially on large loans. Delinquencies can damage credit even further and may eventually lead to foreclosure proceedings if the debt remains unresolved. What makes the situation even more confusing is the disagreement over the actual monthly cost of the property. Simon claims the expenses are around $50,000 per month, while Porsha says they are significantly lower. The large gap between those figures has raised questions and added another layer of uncertainty to the dispute. Regardless of the exact amount, one fact remains clear: maintaining a luxury estate requires substantial financial resources. Without refinancing approval, without mortgage assistance, and with the deadline approaching, Porsha is facing a major financial challenge. As the divorce proceedings continue, many people will be watching closely to see whether she can find a solution, secure financing, negotiate a new arrangement, or ultimately move on from the property altogether. For now, the future of the mansion remains uncertain, and the legal battle between Porsha and Simon continues to unfold. As the legal battle continues, Simon has made one thing very clear: he is no longer financially responsible for Porsha or the mansion they once shared. According to court filings, Simon believes the responsibility now belongs entirely to Porsha. He is no longer paying the mortgage, covering utility bills, handling maintenance costs, or providing any additional financial support. From his perspective, the arrangement they agreed upon has ended, and it is now up to her to manage the property on her own. His position is simple: Porsha wanted ownership of the home, and now she must take on all the responsibilities that come with it. Whether people agree with him or not, his argument is based on the terms that were reportedly established years ago. Another issue that has drawn attention during the court proceedings involves Porsha's claim that she helped Simon pay child support for his children. During the case, she stated that she contributed financially toward those payments. If true, that would suggest she played a significant role in supporting family obligations during their marriage. However, the challenge is that courtrooms rely on evidence, not just statements. According to reports, Porsha did not provide documents to support her claim. There were no bank records, payment confirmations, cancelled checks, transfer receipts, or other financial records showing that she made those contributions. Without documentation, it becomes difficult to verify the claim. Courts generally require proof before accepting financial arguments, especially in cases involving large sums of money and disputed responsibilities. As a result, some observers believe this may have weakened her position. When someone is trying to prove financial contributions or demonstrate financial responsibility, supporting evidence can make a major difference. The discussion then shifts to another topic that many people believe is at the center of the entire situation: her financial standing and credit history. Although much of the public conversation has been based on speculation, one fact continues to stand out. Reports indicate that Porsha was unable to secure refinancing for the home. For many people, that raises important questions. Banks are generally willing to lend money when applicants meet specific requirements. They look at income, debt levels, employment history, assets, and credit scores before approving large loans. For luxury properties worth millions of dollars, those standards become even stricter. Someone with a strong financial profile can often qualify for a refinance without major difficulties. However, when an application is denied, it usually suggests that one or more requirements were not met. Porsha reportedly acknowledged in court that she needed the full 3 years provided under the agreement to rebuild her financial situation. While there is nothing unusual about someone needing time to recover financially, it does suggest that she may not have been in the strongest position when the arrangement began. Unfortunately, lenders focus heavily on financial records rather than public image. Television appearances, social media followers, and celebrity status do not automatically guarantee approval for a multimillion-dollar mortgage. When reviewing an application, banks want to see consistent income, manageable debt, and a strong credit history. Without those factors, even high-profile individuals can face rejection. This brings the situation to a difficult crossroads. If Porsha cannot refinance the property, she may eventually have to consider selling it. On paper, selling the house might sound like a straightforward solution. In reality, luxury real estate can be challenging to move, especially when legal disputes and financial pressures are involved. High-end homes appeal to a smaller group of buyers compared to average residential properties. Finding someone willing to purchase a multimillion-dollar estate can take time, particularly if market conditions are less favorable than they were a few years ago. There is also the possibility that potential buyers could use her situation to negotiate lower offers. When sellers appear motivated or under financial pressure, buyers often attempt to secure a better deal. As a result, selling the property may not provide the financial outcome she hopes for. At the same time, keeping the home presents its own challenges. If refinancing remains unavailable and mortgage obligations continue to grow, maintaining ownership could become increasingly difficult. Reports suggest that the stress of the situation has taken a toll on her. Sources claim she has been dealing with significant anxiety as she tries to determine her next move and protect her financial future. Considering the circumstances, it is not difficult to understand why. She is facing a major legal dispute, uncertainty about her housing situation, and questions about how to manage a property with